Just imagine you sneaking up behind a bad guy on a ledge and kick a basketball to his head to kill him. While the basketball is in the air, you jumped up and kick it again through the hoop. As you land in the same motion, you kick another guy in the head, then you run toward another enemy and try to kick his head off, but you missed. But oh, look at what you found. The same basketball just bounced back in between you and that guy just right before the landing. Another basketball to the head kill. Then you spun and turned around, double fisted a few rounds into the last guy in the room to finish him off. You can do all this and a lot more in My Friend Pedro. Let's get started with a review. My Friend Pedro started as a flash game in 2014 and got a full-blown console and PC release in 2019. And boy is it a fun game. The game is a stylish, bullet time, run and gun game by indie developer Dead Toast Entertainment. Think Max Payne but 2.5D. But unlike Max Payne, My Friend Pedro doesn't take itself too seriously when it comes to the story and dialogues. You play as a masked protagonist who looks a little bit like a yellow Deadpool. There's plenty of humor in the game to break up the intense action. Your companion in the game is Pedro. He's a sentient, talking banana. I know. Pedro serves as comic relief and a vehicle to move the story forward. He's like a funny and sarcastic Cortana. My Friend Pedro has simple and stylized graphics. They are colorful, vivid, and has lots of contrast. The game has this semi-cel-shaded look to it. It's kind of like watching a cartoon. You won't find any fancy graphical setting in this game, but what is here does a great job of presenting the action to you. Even though this isn't your graphics powerhouse, the game does support ultra widescreen natively. Many newer AAA games don't even do that. Just because the game has simple graphics doesn't mean that it doesn't look good. My Friend Pedro is incredibly stylish in motion, and the reason why it looks so good in motion is because of its animations. They are simply top notch. Transition between animations are very well done. It's just unbelievably cool and stylish. As someone who suffers from motion sickness in fast moving first person shooting games, in this game, the camera tilts in the direction your character is moving. I guess the developers want to give the game a 3D parallax feel to increase immersion. The problem is, since you are always jumping and moving back and forth to avoid getting hit, causing the camera to constantly tilt in all kinds of directions. I get motion sickness after playing a couple of levels. If you are like me, I don't recommend playing more than a couple of levels at a time. Although I will say this, after a while, you do get used to it and the condition did get better for me, but your mileage may vary. The in-game music is a mash between heavy metal, electronic, and rock with a heavy dose of drum beats. Some people complain about the music, but I don't really understand it. If you don't like the music, just turn it down. This isn't an epic RPG or rhythm game, it's an action game. And the music does a great job of pumping up the action, and it fits the game really well. There's no voice dialogue. Instead, you hear bleeps and bloops like older classic games. To be honest, I prefer it this way. It keeps the dialogue to a minimum and puts the action at the center of attention. The sound effects are the best part of the audio design in this game. Different guns have distinct sounds to them in real time and slow-mo. I particularly enjoy the bullets whizzing by in bullet time. It never gets old. Bullet ricochets and explosions all sound great. Weapon reloading is weirdly satisfying after gunning down a room full of bad guys. My Friend Pedro oozes in style. This is a game that will still hold up very well graphically in 10 years, much like Zelda Wind Waker, because it prioritizes style and sound design over graphical effects. Story is minimal as the main focus of the game really is on the action and the scoring system. Short dialogues are presented at the beginning of new areas and select levels to move the story along. The game has a lot of humor in between levels to break up the intense action. Pedro is hilarious on some of the comments he makes. My friend Pedro knows his audience and often breaks the fourth wall about video games and internet references. And just when the game becomes somewhat repetitive, it throws you into a level that'll completely change things up and have me thinking, wow, they really went the extra mile and kinda went bananas, no pun intended. And there are a few of these throughout the game. I won't show it here because I don't want to spoil them for you. This is what I appreciate about the game. It feels polished. There is no way this kind of level makes it into a game if it was rushed. Some people say that my friend Pedro is clunky when it comes to controls. I agree with this if you play on a keyboard and mouse. I highly recommend playing this game with a twin stick controller. For example, split targeting is much easier to do on a controller. I do recommend turning the aim assist to low for better control of where you are trying to aim at. You just aim each of the sticks at different directions of the targets. But with a mouse and keyboard, you have to drag the mouse from one target to another. And what if you want to change target? It's just too slow to do split targeting with the mouse. I'm sure there are people out there who are really good at it after you get used to it, but I feel that it's just more intuitive and natural with a controller. My friend Pedro separates himself from the pack with his gameplay, focusing on a very well thought out bullet time mechanic and a deep scoring system. Replay value is off the charts with this game if you are into getting high scores. As the game progresses, you are introduced to additional mechanics, weapons, and interactive objects. You can really get creative with the interactive objects if you experiment. For example, you can kick a frying pan in the air and shoot at it so the bullets will ricochet toward your enemies. Aside from the shooting mechanics, there are light puzzle elements scattered throughout the game. They are not a major part of the game and will not impede your progress. Additionally, platforming goes hand in hand with the shooting because you'll want to utilize walls, ropes, and ledges to execute skill kills and extend combos. My friend Pedro is a very accessible game. The levels themselves are pretty short. They are about 5 to 10 minutes long each, so you can replay them again and again for a better score. The boss fights are pretty creative and fun. They can be tough at first, but once you figure out their patterns, then it becomes a lot more manageable. I finished the game in about 6 hours. It also features a very generous checkpoint system. It literally puts you right back right before the current area where you encounter your enemies. Those that hate losing progress when you die will be happy there. But if you want to get high scores and rankings, you want to restart the level from the beginning when you die because you want to get that no death bonus score. Speaking of the scoring system, you'll accumulate points by chaining kills together for combos. For example, you have a certain amount of time to go from one kill to another to keep the combo meter going. The combo multiplier gets reset when you take too long between kills and the circular meter runs out. The meter also gets depleted quickly if you get hit, so hauling ass and keep shooting throughout each level is key to getting a better score. Speaking of hauling ass, how quickly you can finish a level will also affect your score. This means bullet time will slow you down, but the game becomes extremely difficult without it. You have to pick and choose when to use it. For example, if a bad guy is near you, kicking him for an instant kill is the better option. Always ask yourself, what's the quickest and most stylish way to kill a group of foes by using all the objects around you. Have a plan before every encounter, and replay it over and over again until you perfect all the kills. It's kinda like choreographing an action movie and performing it at the same time. Now, how many games out there that you can say that about? I obviously enjoy the game very much. My friend Pedro is a polished, slow-mo action romp for those who love arcade gameplay and creative freedom to stomp out your enemies how you see fit. How much you have fun with the game will be based on if you're willing to learn and perfect the mechanics and explore ways to utilize interactive items to get high scores. And that wraps it up for me. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the review or found it informative, and subscribe for more. See ya!